you have to take down a statement, which is a very vital thing in collecting information. That is something that the forces cannot do, but that is well within the law as far as the police are concerned. They can go out and carry out investigations. Remember Prabhakaran, when he killed Durayappa, was a pistol party of 7 people. And in that kind of underground movement, it may be that the military intelligence will have the information, but they cannot do the work of, they can't go in a digging operation, they can't do surveillance, and for that you need police powers. And remember, what is the TNA, what is the diaspora, what is the foreign powers, especially India, what do they want? They want the 13th Amendment to put into effect, because 13th Amendment includes police powers. Police powers means the first step, the initial step towards creating a state where all the cadres now presently rehabilitated would be invited to join a police force under the head of the North and the East head of Chief Minister. Now don't forget this. When we had the North East Council, Varadaraja Perumal declared on his own a separate state with the assistance of the Indians at that time, called the UDI, the Unilateral Declaration of Independence, and he had to run off. So if, for example, today the Chief Minister of the North, who will come into existence once the provincial council elections are held, will have to do a recruiting program. Now who else could he recruit? Who else is better trained to be recruited than those who have got certain training in combat, in the use of firearms, and that would be the former LTT cadres. All the good work we have done in reconciliation, rehabilitation, all the little boys, children that we have sent home can emerge, because in my experience, some of the worst offenders in preventing reconciliation process are, not all, some of the public servants in the Jaffna district who are Tamils. I am sorry to say this. Those who are inclined towards the TNA, the good work that is done, both by Sri Lanka and foreign countries, even some of the NGOs, are being reduced in its activities by Tamil-speaking public servants who have rapport with the people. Don't forget one thing. The people of Jaffna, the Tamils, are one thing. They are our brothers, and we must treat them accordingly. The TNA and those TNA sycophants are a different batch. They are just part of the diaspora. They are being fed financially, they are being fed with trips, all other perquisites by the diaspora. So we have to identify who is our real enemy, and what we can do is to ensure that, and I am quite sure this government is very strong on this, I know your president is very strong on it, you must not concede police powers, because every insurrection, any kind of terrorism, whether it was Vijay Veera or Prabhakaran, it starts small. It's a small group that enlarges, and that requires inspection of premises, entering premises, collecting statements, doing investigations. Those are all matters that only the police can do. Now why is it that the TNA has two objectives? One is to get police powers, which they are saying they will put it off, but give us some time. And the other is to remove the military, if possible, from the north and the east. Now these are sure telltale signs. These are symptomatic of what is coming. So it is our duty as lawyers, as knowledgeable people, to do what is essential. That is, safeguards police powers and land powers. Because assume, I'll give you one illustration. I don't want to, I think I may be coming close to my time that I should finish and come into the defense, to the Kotalavala Defense Academy, I think discipline is something we must learn from you. And in that respect, let me give you two illustrations. Now, if the land is vested in the chief minister, and there is once again another insurrection leading to terrorism in the north, how possibly can the military go there and lodge themselves? Can you have high security zones? They will alienate land around the Palali airport, which means, or build high-rising buildings, which will make any kind of landing insecure. Land is prime because land is something which we must always establish is a fundamental right which all people must have access. I mean, if you look at the Kesavalami laws, I do not know why no one has still taken up the position that it is violative of the discriminatory practices or equality rule, because the land of this country belongs to everybody, each of you. It cannot be given to an exclusive group of people. I mean, in this country we have always had people from other provinces living in Colombo. I mean, Colombo's population is very substantially, it is not a pan-Sinhala population. I mean, Colombo municipality is very much more of minority groups, and we are happy about it. Nobody is objecting to it. We all live merrily. So that I think, if I may wind up by saying that what is prime is we got to understand identify and understand who our enemy is. The enemy is anybody who is trying once again to have another state, because we have had 30 years of terrorism. We have finished it admirably by the forces and by the leadership given by the Defense Secretary and by the President. I mean, I don't want to make political speeches, but I want to give credit where it is due. It is also due to the fact that there were so many people who were prepared to sacrifice their lives, bequeath their children to the forces. And that is a legacy that we cannot entail to our future generation. So that once we identify, I have tried my best in my own humble way, I have identified who would be the potential candidates for terror. And I would always say that Prabhakaran was a terrorist who called himself a terrorist. But we have now terrorists who wear masks and cloaks. Even among us, I would say the Colombo society, whom I often refer to as the Colombians, in that are a large group of people who are still clamoring in some way to bring in this Western ideology of democracy, human rights, all very good if they observe it. The second point is, we are being stretched. And the last two boulevards of safeguards that we must ensure is the police powers and the land powers. And what we should do, which I'm afraid is not being done in an accelerated form, is that the justifiable, legitimate grievances of the Tamil people, which means they are never asking for political power. What is the use of giving them police powers? You have to attend to their personal economies, their personal welfares, and there are about 10 areas which the LLRC has correctly identified, which they have set out very briefly but very sensibly, like land issue where they have a land commission. I think we must give effect to those rapidly. Because if we settle the problem of the Tamil grievances, Mr. Mohan Piris will have a much easier job when he goes next time to Geneva. Because that is the bridging point to me. That doesn't require any constitutional amendments. Our laws are sufficient. Our administrative powers are sufficient to grant them that relief. If we do so, I think we can have a Sri Lanka that is truly live in unity, which I think is what we must bequeath to the next generation. I hope I didn't bore you too much. Thank you.